I would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is a traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. The Algonquin peoples have lived on this land since time immemorial. We are grateful to have the opportunity to be present on this territory. My name is Gwen Madiba. I'm a mother, first and foremost, of a young blessing, and hopefully of many more blessings along the way. I am a designer behind the brand Sponsored by God, and I'm also the president and co-founder of Equal Chance, the foundation that works to provide equal and better opportunities to members of our community, the Black community in Canada. How did Equal Chance come about? It came from personal experience, but it also came from the experiences of so many other Black brothers, sisters, gender diverse folks that I've seen go through so much because of the color of their skin. I had to experience this so many times in my workplace, not just one workplace, actually in workplaces, but one of the last ones was the worst, where I and my child, who was an 11-month-old baby, was verbally attacked by a racist woman, and nothing happened, nothing at all. And that was the last straw for me. But before that, I was working there with 3 other Black colleagues. I was a project manager, and under me was a young Black woman whom father was from Zimbabwe and mother was from China. Only in Canada that you can see mixes like that. Brilliant young woman. She was 19 at the time, student at the University of Ottawa, brilliant. And I had the honor to work with her and to hire her on a Thursday, and on the Friday, she already had to be on a plane with me to travel on a mission for a project in Saskatoon. And so we arrived there, and we were surrounded by a group of women who told us, we don't eat with women like you. And what they meant by like you is, we don't eat with Black women, you need to eat outside. It was in the middle of winter. Of course we refused, and we decided to stay in the room, and I told them, if you're not happy that I'm leading and that I'm a project manager, then file a complaint. But I will not be bullied, and I will eat inside. So we ended up eating inside. They took their plates and went outside as a sign of protest. And when I filed in a complaint to my employer, the employer, upon my return to Ottawa, decided that for my protection, I had to stay in my office, and I wasn't allowed to move from the 15th floor of the building, while the racist person was allowed to move everywhere. There was an outside investigation that proved that this woman was racist and that I had done nothing wrong. And despite that, I still went through a lot of trials and tribulations at work. And one of them was at the United Nations, in all places, you know, a place in which we're supposed to stand up for equal rights and fight for human rights for all people. And here I was, a Black woman, a Black brilliant woman, working so hard to obtain the highest level meeting that my supervisor could ever have. I obtained that meeting with the executive director of UN Women, who happens to be a Black, strong, intelligent, powerful, empowering, inspiring Black woman, Pumzile. And I get this meeting, and a few days before the trip, I am told, we no longer have enough money to bring you on this trip, but we really need you to come to the trip. By the way, this was a lie. One of my colleagues was unable to go. Another colleague told me, well, she's unable to go and she's giving you her plane ticket, she's giving you her hotel room, and they still made it hard for me. And while I watched all my non-Black colleagues take a 1-hour flight to New York, they made me and left me with no other choice but to take an 11-hour bus to New York to do the same work, and at times even more work than some of the people that were there. And Tendi, my colleague, whom by the way whose contract was not renewed, ended up taking that bus in solidarity with me. And at that moment, I remember just looking at her and having all these conversations around race and how much we've been tried so hard in that workplace. I've seen my male Black colleague, smart young man with a family of 4 people, had just bought a car, asked for a raise because they were making him work. They were making him do more than he was hired to do. They were making him lift up boxes and do all this work that he didn't sign a contract for, so he rightfully asked for a raise. And I remember trying to talk him out of it. Brother, don't do that. You know they don't like us. If you ask for a raise, I don't know what will happen to you, but they'll make your life so difficult. Just don't. And you know what? After thinking about it, I should have never done that, ever. Because he had every right to ask for every penny that they should pay him. And I feel like sometimes as a people, we are so afraid when our ancestors were so resilient and fearless, so much so that some of them jumped off the boat because they would rather die than be slaves. And yet here I was just trying to talk this other brother out of asking for what he was worth. So he ended up doing it, and about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, they called him in a meeting and said, hey, government cut funding, there's not enough money to pay you, and they let him go. That was really hard. He had just bought a new car. He has 2 kids at home and a wife. Then they refused to renew Tendy's contract, and the other last employee that was there was a Black woman who was getting harassed so much so that she quit. So when they made me take that bus and Tendy came with me and we were going to the UN, like I said, out of all places to treat someone like that, I went there and Tendy asked me, well, why are we here? And my response was, because we're not here for them, we're here for our people. We're here for the contacts and the connections that we will make. We're here for the network that we will build and that we will bring back to create our own space for our own people, in which we will have access to equal and better opportunities, in which we will fight so that no other person find themselves in the situation in which we found ourselves in this workplace. And that was really the beginning of Equal Chance. And that's why it's called Equal Chance. We have equal capacities. We are able. We are equally able. We are made equal. So why can't we have access to equal opportunities? And the reality is that no one's going to give it to you. You got to take it. When the opportunities are not there, you have to create them. When the circumstances are not there, you have to create them. And you have to see an opportunity in everything that happens to you. For in my opinion, God doesn't do things to harm us, but rather to elevate us, to uplift us, and to allow us to create, not only for ourselves, but for others. I felt that I was at the right place in New York and I was making the right connections that led to Equal Chance. And the beautiful thing with that is that a year after, for the same program and project in the UN, I was able to gather 6 women and a sponsor, the Desjardins Group, who were going to help us get 6 women to that same meeting a year later on a VIP trip in which they would have had access to the Desjardins Lounge at the Montreal airport, but also to an insane network of powerful women from across the world. So to see that a year before I was taking an 11-hour bus to go there, and a year later I was able to get 6 young Black women to go with me, although we were unable to do so because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it still made me realize that anything is really possible for those who believe, and that we have our destiny in our hands. We carry so much power within ourselves to be and to do better. Nothing comes easy, but nothing is too hard either. Everything is really what we make it, is one thing that I realized. There's no obstacles that we can't overcome. There's nothing that can stop us. We are really unstoppable, and it's something that I had to understand. It's something that I had to embrace. So yes, there's obstacles that are going to come. You will be better, you will not be bitter. There's so much from racism to people doubting you, to people within your own community trying to stop you. You just have to keep pushing. Well, what motivates me is the end goal. It's the people that I work with who actually appreciate the work that we do. It's my son, it's my family that is extremely supportive. That's really what motivates me. Who am I doing this for? What's my why? My why when I work at Equal Chance is the homeless Black families that we work with who are in temporary housing under horrific conditions, who need to be out of there, who need food at times that is culturally appropriate, but sometimes people don't care and they give you a can of something and say that you need to be grateful for it because you're receiving food. But when we're helping people with our hearts, when we're really helping people because we want to help people, because it's in our heart to do that, we want to make it right for them. We don't want to be right. We're not trying to argue and tell people, take what we give you. We're trying to give them what they can take. My goal is to mentor many more people so that one day I can leave this foundation and this foundation can live and lead on its own, can stand on its own. I want to build a legacy that is worthwhile. I want to build a legacy in which so many young, Black, brilliant people and elders will be able to take over and understand that their destiny is in their hands, that they're unstoppable, that there's nothing that can ever stop them. There's no words of people, no opinions of others that could ever stop what God has in store for all of us. And I'm hoping that through the programs at Equal Chance, that more youth, more elders will have access to resources that will help them thrive in today's society so that they can become better than their mentors. Because the role of a mentor is to ensure that the mentee becomes better than them, achieves greater things than them. And so once that will be done, I think that I could say that my job has been done. Have faith. Faith destroys fears at all times. Faith really destroys fear, and you have to have faith. You have to believe in yourself, not just Black women, but Black men as well. We talk a lot about Black women, Black men, Black gender diverse folks. We all have to support each other. We have to believe in each other, but first and foremost, we have to believe in ourselves. Because it's just like love. If you don't love yourself, you can't expect others to love you. If you don't encourage yourself, if you don't believe in your projects, you can't expect others to be sold on your ideas and projects. So my first advice is believe in yourself. And a lot of times you will understand that the experts that you're seeking outside actually reside inside of you. You are the biggest expert when it comes to your life, when it comes to your projects, when it comes to what you are trying to achieve. And the same credit you're so fast to give to other people, learn to give it to yourself as well. The encouragement that you're so quick at giving to others, give it to yourself as well. Give yourself a bit of a break. Give yourself some encouragement. Wake up loving yourself, knowing that you are enough, that it doesn't matter how many people are doing what they're doing and that it's similar to what you're doing, because at the end of the day, no one can do the things that you do the way that you do them. So even if there's 5,000 of you making a white t-shirt, their t-shirt will never be like your t-shirt. We are all unique, and that's the beauty of the world in which we live in. There is no competition. The only competition, as we always say, is in front of the mirror. The only competition is what you've previously achieved. That should be your point of reference, beating that.